Exploring Stories, SCP-1981, Ronald Reagan cut up while talking. American presidents haven't always been the most likable individuals, and historical presidents' flubs are oftentimes forgotten due to the lack of technology to record what was said. Luckily, we're in a time that allows us to capture it all on video. From MLK's I Have a Dream to Trump's passionate "They're eating the dogs." Today's SCP looks at the early days of recording a presidential speech and a peculiar VHS tape that seemed to display something new and horrifying every time it's rewatched. Let's get straight into it. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures: SCP-1981 is to be kept inside a secure video storage unit at the Media Archive of Site Blank. When in use, SCP-1981 should not be removed from its casing or exposed to any strong magnetic sources. A Betamax home video system and an analog television has been provided in Observation Theater 02 at Site Blank, as well as the video equipment to record viewings. Description: SCP-1981 is a standard Betamax tape. It's titled Ronald Reagan Cut Up While Talking. This is handwritten on an adhesive sticker in felt tip pen on the front of the tape. Laboratory analysis indicates that SCP-1981 is made of ordinary material, and serial numbers correspond with home cassette tapes produced in September of 1980. SCP-1981 was initially encountered by a filing clerk in Ronald Reagan's presidential library in 1991, who upon watching it alerted the police, with the intent to find the tape's creator to press quote-unquote obscenity charges. A low-level police investigation was conducted, at which point the Foundation was alerted and secured SCP-1981. Class A amnestics were administered before blank could be notified. Further investigation of the library's recordings by Foundation personnel failed to yield any leads on its origin. SCP-1981 appears to be a home video recording of former United States President Ronald Reagan delivering his Evil Empire speech to the National Association of Evangelicals at Sheraton Twin Towers Hotel located in Orlando, Florida, on the 3rd of August, 1983. However, at 1 minute and 10 seconds, the speech begins to deviate heavily, eventually resembling no known speech ever made by Reagan. Beginning at approximately 5 minutes, multiple incisions, lacerations, and penetration wounds can be seen slowly beginning to be inflicted, though no corresponding source of these wounds are visible. Despite suffering bodily harm that would likely incapacitate an ordinary person, Reagan will continue to deliver his speech until either his vocal cords are severed or the tape degrades to static at exactly 22 minutes and 34 seconds. Upon rewinding the tape and initiating a playback, Reagan will deliver an entirely new speech, often radically different from the ones previously observed. Topics have included torture, child molestation, and ritual sacrifice. Trauma inflicted upon Reagan also appears to be divergent, with impalement, genital mutilation, and blank having all been observed. In roughly 1 in 7 viewings of SCP-1981, a figure clothed in black robes with a conical hood will have replaced a random member of Reagan's press detail, henceforth referred to as SCP-1981-1. The significance of the appearance of this SCP-1 is currently unknown. The speeches delivered by Reagan are mostly incoherent, lacking any sort of underlying thematic structure and largely being composed of nonsensical anecdotes and parables. However, occasional references are made to future events that Reagan could not have possibly known about or predicted, such as the September 11th terrorist attacks, the results of the 2008 Russian elections, and blank. For this reason, rigorous time and effort has been devoted to recording the speech delivered on each playback. Attempts to replicate SCP-1981 onto a similar Betamax tape have been met with failure. However, cameras used to record the television is broadcasted on have succeeded in capturing individual playbacks. Any observations performed on SCP-1981 must be recorded on the camcorder provided and delivered for subsequent reviews to Dr. B. Blank, project supervisor. Years of magnetic interference have severely degraded SCP-1981's signal quality, making it even more difficult to sift through meaningful information from any playbacks. Additionally, the gruesome nature of the mutilations performed upon Reagan have been described as extremely disturbing, and for this reason, it is recommended that any personnel feeling squeamish or ill after playback will visit the on-site psychiatry facility for a Level 3 evaluation. As Ronald Reagan was alive at the time of its containment, a surveillance net was deployed to establish any relation between him and SCP-1981. No known connection was developed, though Reagan would frequently complain about nightmares before his mental state degenerated due to Alzheimer's. To quickly summarize, it is a tape recording that was found due to mysterious circumstances by a clerk at Reagan's National Library, and turning it over to the SCP Foundation, it seems as though this tape can slightly predict the future, as in the mentioned examples before, but other than that, it's just a really creepy tape that should just be locked away. That being said, obviously, since we're with the SCP Foundation and they did mention that they recorded a bunch of excerpts, let's go into the video transcripts. Excerpt from a video transcript in 1983. At 17 minutes and 24 seconds, Reagan says, "A renewal of the traditional values that have been the tendons of this country's strength. One recent survey by a Washington-based researcher concluded that Americans were far more willing to participate in cannibalism than they have been in the past 100 years. America is a nation that will not suffer abominations likely. 7. And that is the core of the awakening. 12:18. We will stop Al-Qaeda. Now there you go again." The crowd begins to applause. "For the first time we have risen, and I see we are being consumed. I see circles that are not circles. Billions of dead souls inside containment. Unravelers have been eaten through the country's moral fabric, turning hearts into filth. I am from a kingdom level above human. What does that yield? A hokey smile that damns an entire nation. There is no hope." The crowd begins to applause. Reagan turns around and begins to wince as if experiencing severe pain. Several new lacerations begin to manifest across his bare eye sockets, as well as a puncture appearing to penetrate his forehead and temples. The remainder of his left arm is now cleanly bisected. Reagan continues his speech at 1959. "Further consensus has proven that over half of all Americans still hate, eaten whole by a void. The emptiness, the sadness, the blackness, the darkness." He begins to laugh. Laughter continues until the signal degrades into static a whole minute later. End of transcript. We move to another video excerpt written into a transcript format in 1996. It is 12 minutes and 32 seconds into the video. Reagan says, "I've been to the steel mills of Alaska and the cornfields of Nebraska. I've seen the derelict offices of Google burn with the window boarded up and the squatters inside them. I've seen the houses where they cut up the little babies. From coast to shining coast, I have walked empty down a drooling path, the decaying flesh of false morality poisoning our children. I've stood atop the mountain of the greedy earth, looking upon our beautiful, pious pit, filled to bursting with the vast hands of helplessness. And did you know what I saw? Hell." The audience begins to erupt with laughter. A muffled voice can be heard behind the camera. Reagan then cuts in, once again shouting, "Now there you go again." The laughter dies down. Reagan continues, "But truly now, we live in a fortunate time. This is a fortunate time. This is a fortunate time. Time is on our side. This is a fortunate time." He begins to laugh. "A stitch in 9, 9 saves time. There are your truths, and there are many truths. There are known knowns, known unknowns, and unknown blank. Some of them are in the audience right now." At this stage, wounds inflicted upon Reagan's neck appear to be so severe it can no longer support his head. The speech degenerates into gurgles as Reagan violently jerks forward, spine being severed cleanly and the head only being loosely connected to the body by strands of muscle. His body remains animate for the next 3 minutes and continues to gesture as a spinal column appears to be withdrawn from his neck cavity before he finally collapses. The tape degrades into static at 22:34. Video transcript of recording made on 2002. Redacted with O5 security clearance only. Video transcript of a recording made on 2002. Long shot of a podium, as well as empty chairs normally occupied by Reagan and his entourage. Curiously, this is the only recording that lacks both the intertiles and the presence of Ronald Reagan. 30 seconds in, the camera zooms in on the podium. At 2 minutes and 55 seconds, an entity known as SCP-1981 enters the shot from left and stands in the podium. He remains motionlessly for the remainder of the film. At 22 minutes and 34 seconds, the tape flashes to a single frame, with the words, "I see you," colored in red. It holds for 7 seconds, then immediately cuts to static. No further signal for the remainder of the tape. End of transcript. Note: this is the last known sighting of SCP-1981. It has been absent in all subsequent playbacks. If observed, staff are advised not to attempt to communicate with it and to alert any Level 4 supervisors on duty. That brings us to the end of today's SCP. Thank you so much for listening. If you still are, please consider subscribing, leaving a like, or commenting. I know I've been away for the last week or so. I normally do these videos totally free, and I've been really busy with work as well as coming back from my vacation. So now that work has died down, I'll be able to make some videos for you guys to enjoy in the coming days. Thank you so much for your support once again, and have a great rest of your night.